This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
What's up, XRP fam? What's up, Crypto Ghost? It's the Bagman, the Moon Commander, back on the mothership, back with some quick updates or some Moon O'Clock news. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Uphold says we're sorry for the concerns that have been caused. Our system is currently facing some issues that our team is actively investigating. Please rest assured this will be resolved ASAP. If you would like further updates, please check out our status page. Don't worry, your bags are doing just fine. Blow to Ripple as SEC gets access to companies' missing Slack messages. Ripple will have to produce relevant Slack messages from 22 custodians identified by the securities watchdog. The SEC claimed that the defendants had refused to produce the remaining Slack data. They failed to collect it due to an error made by Ripple's vendor. The agency was adamant that the missing documents were relevant to the case. The relatively few documents Ripple has produced so far demonstrate that the missing documents are necessary for the SEC to build a complete and accurate record for summaries, judgment, and trial. In turn, Ripple argued that the SEC demands was overly burdensome, stating that it would take months to collect all the messages. The SEC's extraordinary demand calls for an extensive and cost-efficient expedition that would likely take months to complete and come at a very significant cost. Due to the complicated conversation process, Ripple estimated that it would cost more than $1 million to process all the required messages. James Drew XRP says this case is almost over thanks to the XRP army. We will still need regulatory clarity on XRP and all other cryptos. Ripple claims another victory in the SEC courtroom saga. The saga continues. Ripple claims another victory in the SEC Great Shakeout. Another win for Ripple in the ongoing courtroom saga against the SEC. Judge Sarah Netburn has sided with the arguments put forward by the XRP legal team and will rule decisively on a deliberative procedures on September 28th. Netburn's decision came at the end of last night's telephone conference, which aimed to make headway and push past a squabble over Ripple's request for fair use access to internal documents from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Judge Netburn will now conduct an on-camera examination of the internal documents herself without the Ripple legal team in order to ascertain whether the SEC has overstepped the mark with regard to the deliberative procedures in an effort to minimize fact discovery. Documents relate to internal discussions within the SEC about Ripple, XRP, and Ethereum before the legal case against XRP began. Disclosure of the SEC employees' digital asset holdings at the time of the litigative actions. Page 376 of the deposition transcript reveals that while serving at the SEC, Director Hinman had meetings with Ripple executives in 2020, focused on finding a way for XRP to be regulatory compliant, but they had their hands in the Ethereum cookie jar. It was during these meetings he first suggested XRP was operating as an illegal asset. This lends support to Ripple's team's argument that they didn't receive reasonable notice of operating an illegal asset or a need for regulatory compliance. They don't want you with that big bag. The Ripple team explained that the documents would highlight potential decision-making failures in relation to the digital assets and would ultimately establish that there was no fair notice period provided to allow Ripple to bring XRP into compliance with the securities regulations. Rosalind Layton down here says the crypto uprising the SEC didn't see coming. Big Brad Garland House says this has been clear from the very start. The SEC lawsuit isn't just about Ripple. It's about what impossible standards of fair notice and due process through regulation by enforcement can do to crypto innovation. Anyone could be next without warning. DAI says if they don't really believe that the next question is why did they act like they did for Ethereum, September 12, 2019. Tokens are immutable. You know they can change. That's what Bill Hinman said. And it's like, well, we don't really believe that.
If you have a fully functional network and you go ahead and you issue a token in that context, those early tokens will always be security tokens. And again, notwithstanding what the speech said. And we're going, well, tokens are mutable. You know, they can change. And that's what Bill Hinman said. And it's like, well, we don't really believe that. So,
Payment infrastructure news breaking. Payment Canada announces today the launch of the first release of Lynx, Canada's new high-value payment system. A second release planned for late 2022 will introduce the ISO 222 message standard. Digital perspectives proof that Ripple and Brad Garland House have always worked within the system with regulators and the banks following best practices. As Brad Garland House attorney Solomon said yesterday, SEC sword and the shield approach is unfair to Ripple and the XRP bag holders.
So how would we suggest to them that they, not be a target? Let's assume that there is no clarity. They want to move forward. How do they do the best job they can of staying under the radar and building a business while the SEC is figuring this out?
I guess I'll just start with a quick thought is that the industry is coming up with a lot of self-regulatory best practices, and those are good guidelines to follow and try to stay ahead of. A good example is doing AML KYC on purchasers. There may not be technical requirements to comply depending on the type of entity, but that's best practice that is developed over time and maybe something to consider.
Business deal together, some central counterparty is going to commute trust. As a consumer, that's Visa and Amex. In a banking world, that's correspondent banks, because you're using correspondent banks to do a cross-border transaction.
Give this audience a sense of how you guys have already put the infrastructure into place.
We actually primarily use technology behind the firewall, and that's really because that's where the banks are comfortable. Right. We're plumbers. We're enabling a much more efficient plumbing, but the endpoint where regulators care is, some governments care about capital flow controls, some care a lot more about KYC and AML and OFAC and any other acronyms. They get enforced at the endpoint. We don't change that. You can't do an anonymous transaction on RippleNet because every endpoint we work with is a regulated financial institution.
XRP crypto wolf. Even after repeated instances by Judge Netburn, the SEC has reportedly refused to provide relevant information on how the Howey test applies to Ripple XRP transactions, and Ripple lawyers are calling it baseless. Notorious XRP says, "Time to settle this, I say. XRP the standard."
What cryptocurrency is all about, they hear cryptocurrency and they see fraud. And what we see is it's moving the technology.
And then they say, okay, well, let's sue them. Or let's go get the government.
There's another thing they do. They adopt the technology. I think
no, that's at the end.
They will adopt this technology.
No, this is the last thing they do. No, it's after the press planting. They plant the press stories. They put out lawsuits. They create as much of a fuss as possible. They try to get their government friends involved. And then they go, oh God, this thing's happening.
What's interesting about XRP is there is quite a lot of use cases. Now, I know a bunch of Bitcoin people hate it. It's not decentralized enough. I don't care. It's, are people using it? Yes, a lot more than most people realize. And what's amazing about this setup is you can't buy it on any of the exchanges. And it's not in the Bitwise ETF. The Bitwise ETF is now $1 billion. The Bitwise index is, the top 10 index is $1 billion. So the moment XRP is free, they have to buy a few $100 million of it, as everybody else can, because the exchanges will have it back. So you're setting up for a hell of a nice run if this clears up.
Buckle up. I hope you got those bags packed, locked and loaded. Notorious XRP. XRP the standard. Time to settle. Relist. The Phoenix rising. Ripple says want to learn why the XRP ledger is perfectly suited to power NFTs? Tune in to hear CTO Joe Katz share exclusive insight on our recent Ripple Drop episode. Ripple continuing to push the eco-friendly narrative. NFTs. Learn why XRP ledger is perfectly suited to power NFTs. Takeover is just beginning. It's no wonder why they're trying to shake you out. GDLT June GIC recap. Global ID CEO Greg Kidd on the risk of not investing.
There used to be a time when people would say, oh my gosh, you're investing in crypto. That's so risky. But now we live in a time where if you don't invest in some of these new, it could be crypto, it could be in new corridors like JP was talking about Colombia, it could be in industries that are like gaming industry that is kind of wild sometimes. Now it's kind of risky if you don't invest. And so people are like, it's like the definition of a hero is a coward that had no other options. And so we've moved to a world now where if you're not part of some of these things, you may just be missing out. And so even if you only allocate some, 5% or 10% of your portfolio to these areas, that's a huge shift in the world. And so
don't miss the train. Don't miss the boat. Load up while you still can. Opportunities of multiple lifetimes. Shout out to XRP Crypto Wolf. Today is my 27th birthday. I started crypto when I was 22, and it's insane how much my life has changed. Never would I have imagined that I'd be where I'm at now. Extremely grateful for the XRP army, the XRP community. No matter what, I'll always be there. Can't wait to meet all of you someday for the massive moon party. Bagman will be there. With that being said, SEC vs. Ripple, updated upcoming dates. And we have September 1st, letter of motion by Ripple and Christian Larson. September 3rd, the SEC's response to the Ripple's defendant's motion. September 7th, Ripple's response to the SEC's motion. September 8th, the SEC's opposition to the letter's motion by Ripple and Mr. Larson. September 14th, the SEC's publicly available limited redacted or moderately redacted letter brief. September 20th, deadline for depositions of Brad G. and Chris Larson. And September 28th, the Ripple defendants' oppositions. And November 12th, expert discovery deadline. Watch out for September, all these dates. XRP bound to blast. I hope you got those bags packed, locked, and loaded. I am the XRP Bagman, the Moon Commander, currently up here on the mothership, enjoying the show and loading up on the greatest opportunity of multiple lifetimes. Appreciate y'all stopping by, tuning in, smashing the likes, and tuning in for some Moon O'Clock news. I'll catch y'all all up here on the mothership. Continue to stay extra bullish out there. Continue holding those good vibes, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out, Ghost fam.
Rocket ship. While my bags keep spilling, I'ma make a killing. And Ripple drop dripping. Hey. Ninja stars keep flying and them prices keep skying. Them rocket ship pilots and I bought my own island. Rocket land itself while I parachute down. Killed the king, took the crown while you got spun around. Media manipulation and they got you tuned in. Shilling shit coins and they ain't mooning. All my bags busted and they all booming. You a product of the TV, you all sound sheepy. You all look sleepy. What is they feeding? Why